Welcome back, Gregers. I'm back in Melbourne. Cold Melbourne, really cold. Went from Dubai, which was 46 every day, 46 degrees Celsius, and then back to Melbourne, which is cold, which we love. We love Melbourne. So, got back over the weekend. Now, if you're new here, we've been doing this video now since about 2005, pre-YouTube days, and it comes out every week and just full of free tips on digital marketing, SEO, all that sort of stuff. So if you like it, subscribe on the YouTube channel. It's the easiest way you're going to keep up to date. And if you do like it, please share with your friends, tell your friends. One of the big stories that's come out this week, and I've got to thank Nick Hodges from Blond3. I don't know if that's how you say it, Nick, but that's how it reads. So Nick is a really smart bloke. He's been in the industry a long time, and he just posted this article on ad fraud that just been put out on Business Insider. And basically what happened is that Google and a bunch of big publishers, and I think they say who they are here, but I think who we had, anyway, a couple of big publishers, but Google was one of them. So Google basically did this study with these other publishers, and what they found is that there has been billions spent in ads that are fraudulent. So basically what happens is you have this thing called programmatic advertising, which is great, and it's what appears on all these other sites. So you might know it as display advertising. So, you know, you could advertise inside Facebook, that would be display advertising. You can advertise in search, that would be search advertising. Right? There's a different user intent. And display advertising is also what the stuff that follows you around the web. You know, the creepy stuff, you know, when people say, I keep saying the same ads for the same bloody thing. It's about the, you know, a coffee machine for, you know, Arabian coffee, and it's been following me. That's because you've been to the site at one point that sold that thing, and then we've put a cookie in your machine, and then whoever else is showing Google ads, we're going to show you that pot of Arabian coffee. That's what we do. And the other way to get ads onto those sites, the other things that publishers will use is a thing called ad exchanges. And this is where you can put your site into a big exchange and people can bid to advertise on your site. What's been happening though, the scammers and the ne'er-do-wells have been scamming, as you would expect. That's what they do. And basically they have been saying that, you know, on a lot of these ad exchanges that it's all handled programmatically, and you're talking, you know, millions and millions of transactions happening every second, you know, to get these ads displayed around the place. So a lot of these scammers have been going to these ad exchanges and basically saying, yeah, no, we sell ads on CNN, or we sell ads on AOL Time Warner. And in fact, they don't. And they were being tricky and taking people's money. And so there's going to be a new initiative now where, hopefully it'll work, where basically you'll be able to have a little file on your site. If you're a big publisher, like a big news publisher, or you're getting a massive blogger where you're getting lots and lots of traffic from Google, and that will let ad exchanges know whether they are allowed actually to sell ads for your site. And that should put a stop to it. It's a new initiative, has to be rolled out. But what this really tells me is that why is ad fraud still a thing? I mean, why is it still important? To me, it says that if you are worried about ad fraud, it's one of two things, or if you're not worried about ad fraud, there's one of two things not happening. Either you aren't measuring your total cost of acquisition, right? Because if you're upset about ad fraud, if it comes within your window of cost of acquisition, let's say it's $10 per customer, depending on what industry that you're in, and $3 of that might be ad fraud, or $4 of that might be ad fraud. Well, that's sort of getting up there, 40% ad fraud. Can I get that down a bit? Yeah, maybe. But for big brands, I think what's lacking here is the ability to understand what the total cost of acquisition is, because then you can stop worrying about ad fraud. And it's the same as search traffic, right? You get a lot of search traffic from Google that isn't necessarily, accurate or relevant for you. Like for instance, you might get someone who just wants to come to your site just to work out how to do something and might never come back. That happens to our site all the time. And you might say, well, that traffic's not worth a lot. Maybe. But if you have a total cost of acquisition, or acceptable cost of acquisition, it doesn't really matter. Because well, if it costs me $10 to get that person on my site, I'm okay with that. Or, if, we've had some clients where $50, $60 is an acceptable cost of acquisition through search. And you've got to put the same metrics in for your display remarketing and all those sorts of things. But go and have a look at this. This is pretty funny. It's got some funny graphs in it, like this one. Fake ad inventory. Ads sold on ad exchanges for a publisher that doesn't sell on ad exchanges. And you can see there, this number here is what? 6.3 billion number of ad impressions that they can sell, but they don't actually sell them. So, and as Nick points out in his initial link on LinkedIn and from Blonde3, these scammers, only need a 0.001% of the market to make $1 million. So it's quite lucrative. But what I would say is have in mind an acceptable cost of acquisition and measure your costs and measure what you're acquiring. And then if it's within that, who cares? And that's it for this week. And we'll see you next week. Thanks very much. Bye.